So, in this problem we have a displacement of magnitude of 32 centimeters towards the east. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my coordinate system. So let's say that this direction is north, east, south, I almost said west there, and west. It has a displacement initially. I'm going to say D1, my initial displacement, is 32 centimeters to the east. And I'm just going to make a capital E to represent east. Following that displacement, we have another displacement we'll call D2, which is going to be 48 centimeters, and that is going to be, once again, to the east. And then lastly, we have a third displacement that's going to be 64 centimeters, and that's going to be to the west. Now, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to call for the displacement, the total displacement. And then I'll throw in distance there too, because it's an important concept to cover. So, when dealing with displacement and position vectors, we're dealing with vectors, so they have direction. So in physics, when we represent something that has a direction, we represent it with negatives and positive signs. So, looking at my coordinates, the north, my east, my south, my west, I'm going to say everything that travels in this direction is positive, and everything that travels in this direction is negative. So looking at over really quick, I have, give myself a little space here now, D1 is equal to D2, 3. So D1 is equal to 32 centimeters east. I'm going to get rid of the east sign and just say that it's a positive 32 centimeters. It also has another 32 centimeters east, and then last 32 centimeters and 64 centimeters due west. Now, my total displacement is going to be the sum of all these. So when I'm talking about totals, I'm talking about summing up everything I have. So it's actually pretty simple now. It becomes 32 centimeters plus 48 centimeters. Let me put this where I have a little more space. Okay. So down below. So D1 plus D2 plus D3. Okay. And that's going to be 32 centimeters plus 48 centimeters minus 64 centimeters. Well, to do this really quickly in my head, I realize that this and this are closely related. This is exactly half of that. So when I add this to this, I'm going to end up with negative 32 centimeters. So I'll end up with negative 32 centimeters, which is going to be equal to D1 plus D3. Okay? So this right here is going to be this one plus this one. Okay? So then all I have to do is bring this one into the term. Well, if I have negative 32 and I have 48, I can simply see, well, gosh, if I have negative 32 centimeters, using like a quarter of my board, I'm going to do this over here. So if I have negative 32 centimeters plus 48 centimeters, well, that's nothing more than 48 minus 32. Goes in there 6, this goes in there 1. I'm left with 16 centimeters. So the total displacement is going to be the 16 centimeters, but I'm not done yet. Is it positive or negative? And why is that important? Well, I need to know if I ended up going east or west. So, because I'm looking over my math really quick, at a positive 48, a negative 32, the 16 is definitely positive. So my final answer, my displacement total, is going to be 16 centimeters east. Okay? Cool? Now, when looking at determining how much distance this thing has traveled, all we do differently is consider everything to be absolute values. D1, D2, and D3. So the negative signs simply disappear when we're dealing with distance terms, excuse me. Okay? So that turns into, I don't have my array, one sec. That turns into, gosh, I shouldn't have erased all of that. You rewrite the numbers really quick. 32 centimeters, 48 centimeters, and 64 centimeters. Well, that turns into 32 plus 48 plus 64. I ignore the negative signs because this is distance, not displacement. Okay? So, 32 plus 48, that gives me 32 plus 48, 10, 80, and then 80 plus 64. That's 4, 14. So my total distance is 144 centimeters. Okay? Now, my initial answer, I got 16 centimeters east for my displacement. For my distance, I got 144 centimeters. So clearly they're two separate answers. They're two different ideas. And if you think about it, my distance is my odometer. I'm just measuring how far I'm traveling. So I can do all sorts of paths like that. And all I have to do is keep track of how far I've traveled, how many steps I've made. Where displacement, on the other hand, in this case I want 32, 48, 64. I have to keep track of all those distance, the direction that I'm traveling to, along with the size. Okay? Cool?